weekend day in the books. Kian McDermott, Dylan Shalom. Dylan, how are you? Obviously, we are here to recap the game, the two games that we have had. Obviously, if you guys are unaware, Dylan is a Dolphins fan, so a little bit of hurt feelings there from Dylan. But obviously, 2 games to go over from this week, or excuse me, from today. Obviously, 2 incredible games, 2 great storylines. Dylan, how are you doing today? Obviously, post Dolphins loss.
I'm pretty terrible. I'm not gonna Yeah, I mean, good games of football though. Good games of football. That Rams game versus Lions getting their first playoff win it was a great game, and a lot to talk about. I mean, obviously the Cowboys getting blown out, but
I mean that's and I will say and I think although you did not pick the Packers, you saw the vision that I saw.
I did, yeah.
You saw it. But yeah, that was. I mean, obviously we'll hop into that straight. I mean, that was 48 points, and I want to give a lot of credit to the Packers, obviously, because I do think that this is a huge win for them. This is a huge statement for them. That being said, for the Cowboys, this is much more of a detrimental loss for them. I mean, you were looking at you're listening to what the commentators were saying. This was supposed to be a Super Bowl caliber team, right? Like they were looking to win 3 more games. And to lose this game at home against a Packers team that I would say, and this isn't to hate on the to hate on the Packers at all, but I would say that they were coming into this the weakest team besides the Steelers
and the Bucs.
Yeah, and I guess when you really look at it, I guess the Eagles as well. So yeah, I guess it's just, I mean, it's incredible. Who is this? Jordan Love. Yeah, so we're gonna get some Jordan Love in here. Dylan. I mean, you look at him. I mean, absolutely. I mean, incredible. Absolutely incredible. I mean, you look at Dylan, and again, not to play into the Mahomes memes, but you look at the comparison to Patrick Mahomes pre-draft. It's 100% there. That was absolutely phenomenal from Jordan Love, especially to go into Dallas with the expectations the Packers had going to this game, and to have that performance was, I mean, I'm someone who I may have not vocalized it a lot, but I was a huge fan of Jordan Love. And that was, I mean, truly incredible from Jordan Love. While I switch my mic head, speak on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Thomas Scott, you're telling me the touchdown he threw with the blitz in his face was insane. Insane. That's a throw you don't see other quarterbacks making. I mean, you could plop every other quarterback in the league in that situation. I don't know if any of them make that throw. So, and to me, that wasn't even the most impressive throw of the day. For me, the one that impressed me the most, and I know it was garbage time, but it was his last touchdown pass to Dobbs. Fit in the tightest of possible windows, sidearm under pressure. That's something you don't see from a quarterback that it's his first starting season. And the Packers, they've done it over time and time again. They rest the rookie that they take, or not rest him, they train him for 3 years or 2 years and then put him in when he's actually ready. And that's really where they've really succeeded as a franchise. You've never seen a full rebuild for the Packers. And he's the answer to that. He was able to come in when they finally were done with Rodgers, and now he is the starter. And he is he's the answer.
Especially, and again, yeah, even to talk on that. Sorry, is my mic too loud?
No, you're good.
Okay. I mean, just to speak on that, you look at kind of all the posts coming after this game, and it's just the ability for him to take so much attention off Aaron Rodgers' leave and to put it on himself. And obviously the shoes he's filling, not only Aaron Rodgers, but Brett Favre before that. You're looking at 2 Hall of Fame, all-time great quarterbacks. And again, not to jump the gun, because I do think, we still need to see a little bit more from Jordan Love. But you look at where he's headed based on this game, he's headed towards being another great Packers quarterback. If he can play like this. And again, and Dylan, not to further your wound, but you look at quarterbacks who can do it in the
We're
big
not
game.
playing the comparison game right now. No. We're not playing the comparison game now.
I've played too much of the comparison game today.
Yeah, sorry there.
I'm lagging. Yeah, it's lagging.
Yeah, I think it's me. But yeah, we can only have 2 people on the stream. So yeah, I mean, we're super obviously. I think it was just one of those things from Jordan Love where it's like, it's not, and I hate to say that it factor. I feel like you don't like that term either, Dylan. But I think when that
is a factor.
Like it was that's what stood out to me. It's like Jordan Love really showed that he has that ability to his game where you going in against all odds, and winning that to me was I mean, it was just. And again, as someone who predicted that win, I'm not saying I didn't think it would happen, but for it to happen and in that manner, I mean, 48 points is absolutely ridiculous against a Cowboys defense that was that well coached, that had that many stars, and then as well the offensive performance. And again, Dylan, I want you to talk about, and I think a point you were bang on about, and Dylan, you would have even. I would have dubbed you more of the genius if you had said this when you said that the Packers had a better offense and then picked the Packers. Unfortunately, you tried to hedge your bet and pick the Cowboys. But
no, it wasn't as much of a hedge as it was I didn't trust the Packers defense. Like I knew what I was saying. It was just the Packers defense had been so inconsistent. So I knew like, it was just too hard to pick them. But my main takeaway, obviously, Jordan Love's going to get the majority of the love, and he's earned it.
Yeah.
But I think that today, and I don't say this lightly because I've seen some great performances. I think Aaron Jones's performance today as a running back was the greatest running back performance in one game I've ever seen. And I'm not even just over-exaggerating.
Yeah, I mean.
He had over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns, and I think 3 blocks that I just picked up just based on just watching the game. I picked up 3 of his blocks that led to either 30-yard touchdown, 30-yard plays, touchdowns. I thought that anyone who has not really gotten to see a lot of Aaron Jones over the last few seasons, because he's not someone whose name really pops up all that much, that was the most impressed I've been by a running back in my entire time watching football. I think that was, and I don't say that was the best running back performance. I'll say in the playoffs because like we've seen the Derrick Henry games, the Kamara games. That was the best playoff running back performance I've ever seen. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones. Yeah, again, and I mean. It's a Packers offense, and just to talk more about that Packers offense, it's a Packers offense that doesn't have that elite key piece, right? But Jaden Reed, their leading receiver, didn't have a catch all game, and they still scored 7 touchdowns.
And neither did Christian Watson.
Yeah, I mean it's their ability to spread that the ball around like that was, I mean, it's to me it was. We knew the Packers had it, and I talked about the Packers, and I said that I was a fan of the Packers and that I thought the Packers had a good offense. Like we talked about, if this Packers receiving core can get it together and maybe get one more, X receiver, which I mean it doesn't really seem like they need right now. This is a really good offense, and I mean we saw that offense was incredible. Yeah, I mean it was. I don't really know. It was just a shocking game. I mean, we were texting throughout the game, and it's like, is this really happening? Like, I thought it would be close. And I mean, I thought, and I said in our predictions, like, if I think the Packers can win it, but if that's not the outcome, the only other outcome in my mind, I think in everyone else's mind, was a Cowboys were going to slaughter them. And the fact that it was the other way around was, I mean, basically, long way to say, Packers, you deserve that. And I mean, congratulations to them.
Yeah, I agree with the comment here. I think it was a mentality thing. The Cowboys came in way overconfident. The Packers came in with a chip on their shoulder. That's really something that does play into it. And it's something we see with Cowboys football teams from time to time. I don't like to compare cultures from years past to the season that we're in right now, because it's not a thing that's usually something that runs through multiple seasons. But this is now season 3 of McCarthy. It's going to be the last one. Season now, I want to say 7 of Dak. And it's just, it hasn't changed that this team comes into a playoff game expecting to win when they haven't proven that they are good enough to do that yet. And the Packers, I think they completely underlooked how dangerous of an offense that could be. I mean, Micah Parsons today, he got absolutely neutralized. And that's one of the best defensive players in the league. And he got completely knocked out of the game. The interior defensive line, that's Gallimore, that's Odighizuwa, absolutely taken out of the game by the interior offensive line. And then we look at what's going to happen to the linebacking core of the Cowboys. Leighton Vander Esch, that he's not going to be there next year. But you see the middle of the field passing, not only that Jordan Love was allowed to complete, but also the fact that he was able to run outside of the pocket and make those throws, not just the fact that it was open. I mean, Romeo Doubs was open in the middle of the field every single time. There were terrible zone schemes from Dan Quinn today. It just didn't make sense to me that the defense played as badly as it did. But, I mean, credit has to go to the Packers offense, because LaFleur has proven time and again that he is one of the best play callers in his field. And Jordan Love showed that he is one of the guys that can conduct that system. So I give full credit.
Yeah, I think this was really a
Mike's not connected.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean, and I think for the Packers, what was so key about this game, and credit to the offense, that's what won them the game, right? I'm not saying that, but defensively, obviously the pick six was huge. That's what really set. I mean, if that pick six doesn't happen, the Cowboys are in that game. That pick six is, in my opinion, what really turned it into, oh my God, I think the Packers are actually going to win this game. And kind of to shift it over to Dak, obviously not a good performance from Dak. Did he lose them that game? No.
I think he did. I think you can't go down 27-10 or whatever it was.
27-0. Is my mic
27-0?
Okay.
It's too big of a deficit to come back from. And I can appreciate that he did well in garbage time. I can appreciate that he tried to form a comeback, but you just cannot go down by that much. And I mean, there are other sources to the loss. I mean, the defense was terrible, of course, but Dak Prescott is a quarterback that is held to the standard of he should be playing well in this game. He's at home as a 2 versus a 7.
Yeah,
that you can't throw 2 interceptions in the first half.
Yeah, I was someone who I feel like all year I was a very big fan of Dak. I was someone who was saying he definitely should be getting consideration for MVP for a large part of the season. I thought he was a main catalyst for the Cowboys' success on offense,
and he was.
But today and in the playoffs, unfortunately, narratives won, or fortunately, depending on how much you hate the Cowboys. But
we'll say unfortunately just to keep it
But for Dak, unfortunately, because as much as we don't, like you said, you don't want to go into these kind of basic and tired narratives that are often pushed. To a certain extent, they've proven to be true. Dak went up against a defensive coordinator and a defense in Joe Barry's Green Bay defense that everyone thought was very weak, was a team that we thought Dallas, who were undefeated at home and were so good at home, would dominate, at least offensively. And that's why I picked Dallas to win. And Dak was put in a position where you think, okay, he's going to show up. If they lose, it's going to be because Jordan Love goes off, and he did go off. But the problem is that the entire first half, he just looked spooked. It doesn't make sense to me, because I thought I think the comment about the mentality is really accurate in my opinion, because really the Cowboys are a very talented team, one of the most talented teams in the NFL. They led the league in all pro selections this year, and I think for good reason. They have one of the best offensive lines in the league. They've got one of the best receivers in the league.
Oh, I did not mean to do that. Sorry, Serge.
All good. and they've got a good quarterback. So they have the talent. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
But it's just mentally, I think, especially with Dak, he just wasn't he just wasn't prepared for the task. He wasn't up for the task, and it was against, like I said, a defense that was very vulnerable. I think we all talked about it, that we didn't really think Green Bay's defense posed as much of a threat to the Cowboys offense that we saw, especially at home most of the time this season. And we thought Dallas at least should, even if Dallas don't win, they're gonna at least put up probably. I mean, they did put up 32 points, but it was a lot of stat padding because at the entire second half, Green, and especially the fourth quarter, they were really kind of just playing prevent defense, don't get beat over the top. I just think that this is kind of very concerning if you're the Cowboys, because I think with the talent they had, you feel like if it's not this year, then when? And it wasn't this year, and it wasn't even close. They didn't even make it past the first round. A lot of questions have to be asked. I think McCarthy is really in a position where I think I would be very surprised if he stays, just because I think he's a good coach. He's done a good job getting them into the playoffs and making them a great regular season team. But it's clear he's not the guy to get them over the hump, because he can't coach well against the likes of guys like LaFleur, Shanahan, McVay, and it was proven kind of his deficiencies. And I think Jerry Jones is definitely, I would be surprised if he's not gone by tomorrow. I think Dak, there are serious questions that have to be asked, because he is clearly a good regular season quarterback, but can you really trust him to is he really the guy that you think is going to win them a Super Bowl? And obviously quarterback, it's really hard to find good quarterback play in the NFL nowadays, but at the same time, this feels like a roster that's ready for the Super Bowl. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try to move on from Dak.
No,
this year.
I fully disagree with that. I don't think
the only reason Dylan is disagreeing is because it's the exact same thing for Tua. So if Dylan were to say Dak could leave, then it would be the same.
It's not even close.
I'm not saying,
but
yes, it 100% is the same thing. It's two quarterbacks that are not able to win Super Bowls, and it's a question of, do you move on? Yes, they can win regular season games.
Dude, why are we even
connecting
this? It's not even close to the same thing.
I'm just saying, and before you get defensive, because God forbid someone says something bad about the Dolphins, it is the same thing. It is the same. They are two quarterbacks. Yes, Serge. Situation-wise, when you look at the success of Tua and Dak, and the questions that are now surrounding by both of them, would you say they are pretty similar?
The situation, I think this kind of the narrative around them is definitely very similar.
Yeah, the narrative is, but it's not a similar situation, because Dak has played in 7 playoff games and lost them. But that's not even the point I'm trying to make. I think that they got to keep Dak, because what is your plan to go forward if you're Dallas if you don't keep Dak with this roster? Because Dak was the reason this offense succeeded in the regular season. If you don't keep Dak, you're putting a team with Micah Parsons, one of the best secondaries in football. I know they got exposed today, but they're still one of the best secondaries in football. And then the best offensive line potentially in the NFL this season. You're putting that roster in a rebuild.
Detroit proved they're the best offensive line in football today, but no point in that. But yeah,
they're going out and they're throwing that team into a rebuild where you're going to have to trust another quarterback. Who is the option to get instead of Dak? Is it Mayfield? What is it?
I mean, all right, Dylan.
No, that's a fair point. No, that's a fair point.
No, it's a fair point to say who is it? Mayfield? No, it's not. Dylan, this is the unfortunate reality with a lot of these quarterbacks, and I guess we'll talk about Dak, because I'm not getting into an argument. Yes, they can win regular season games, and yes, they look great, and yes, they get stats and da. There are teams. The goal for every NFL team is to win a Super Bowl, regardless of. I mean, it doesn't they're
so
not
what are you
going to
stick
stick to Dak.
Are you just going to
Dylan, what you would say is you would rather stick with Dak and never win a Super Bowl.
But that's not what the truth is. He can win a Super Bowl. He's very capable.
He can win a Super Bowl, even though he's proven year in, year out that he cannot. And he lost to the 7 seed Green Bay Packers at home, and you just said it was directly his fault that you think he can win a Super Bowl.
I think he can, because he is one of the 10. He is one of the 10 best quarterbacks in football. If you put him in a situation to succeed, he will succeed. And he did succeed this season. He played a bad game and they lost. That doesn't mean you got to get rid of him and blow up a ship that's pretty much close to the finish line.
I see. No,
Dylan-
I see your point. Let me.
Dylan, but
so
you
here's
ju-
what I'm gonna say about that.
You're contradicting though. No, but
serious,
let me because he's he's
How am I
contradicting.
contradicting? Please tell me how I'm
You
contradicting.
just said that Dak and Tua is not the same because Dak has lost 7 playoff games in a row. But then you're saying, oh, they should keep Dak because they're right there and he can win a Super Bowl. Explain that to me.
I'm telling you, Dak. This is the best situation Dak Prescott has been in since his rookie year. I think we can all
And
agree.
he lost to the Green Bay Packers, and it was directly his fault.
And he played a bad game against the Green Bay Packers, and they lost, and it was his fault. I can get behind that. But one playoff loss doesn't constitute to blowing it up. I don't think.
But it hasn't been one playoff.
But it's one playoff loss.
Just said it
this,
wasn't.
But it's one playoff loss in this team. These teams in
Dylan,
the past.
I think you have too much here. Here's what I'm gonna say now. I think you're too attached to a good quarterback. Like not a great quarterback, but a solid quarterback. And I know that doesn't make sense at first, but let me explain. So I think Dak is a good quarterback, and I think the Cowboys think so too. That's why they paid him $40 million. But the problem with that is that they've consistently I feel like he's been consistently put in good situations with the Cowboys. He consistently had
solid enough.
good receivers. He's had Cooper, he's had Lamb. Gallup a few years ago was very good. They've had solid offensive play calling. They've had solid defenses. He's had pretty good situation around him, I would say.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Yes. So he's had 8 years. This was his 8th year, and this was probably the best team he's had around him. And they not only did they lose first round, but they got killed first round at home against the youngest team in the NFL. Now, Dak is still a good quarterback. And you did raise a good point that I don't know if there's anyone on the market available that might actually be better than Dak. But while this is a very good roster, it isn't a roster that I feel like still stacks up with teams like San Francisco or even, dare I say, Philly. I know Philly have had an off year, but I think a lot of that's due to coaching.
And clearly didn't stack up against the Packers when, Dylan, you said the Packers have a better offense than the Cowboys.
Let me finish with this. So what I think that they could do is I think they could move Dak, because I think Dak's in a situation where even though he's getting paid a lot of money, he's still a good quarterback, and I still think there are some teams that would be willing to take on Dak's salary to make them a member of their team because Dak is a good quarterback. But I think it's also clear that Dak isn't a quarterback that you can win a Super Bowl with because consistently
I don't think that's clear.
But
I don't think that's clear. I mean,
it's been 8 years.
Dylan,
You said he's been put in good situations. You're too committed to the quarterback. Like, I think it's been 8 years with Dak. He's had multiple chances in the playoffs, and he's come up short. I think at this point, if maybe there's not a better option, maybe there's not like a right now an option that you know is better than Dak. But what you can do is kind of build a team that already is very good, but you could turn it into a team that's like a San Francisco level super team by getting rid of Dak because you know he's not going to be able to elevate this roster. And I think you're going to have
Dak has elevated this roster throughout the entire season. If we're putting
I'm talking about the playoffs though.
Listen.
But Dylan, it doesn't matter. Dylan, it doesn't matter. None of it matters
until
a regular
you don't.
Season.
You can't discredit a regular season.
I'm not discrediting a regular season.
Yeah, I can.
I know you're not.
No, but is the goal to win regular season games or is the goal to win a Super Bowl? With Jerry Jones with the Cowboys, it's the goal to win a Super Bowl.
No, and I'm not doubting that the Cowboys will move him.
And I know it's different with Miami and it's different.
I'm not even talking
with
about
Dallas
Miami.
Expectation. No, I know, but it's kind of similar to the discussions we've been having with Tua. But with Dallas, the goal is to win a Super Bowl. They have had Dak for a long time, and they've had multiple, I feel like, Super Bowl worthy rosters. At least on offense, they've had Super Bowl caliber offenses. And Dak has not been able to elevate them for 8 years in the playoffs, which is objectively true.
But Dylan, what more do you need? What more do you need?
Like I think one more thing. I think if you looked at it a few years ago, where I know the Lions just beat the Rams, but when the Rams traded Goff for Stafford, I think you might have looked at that and said, "Oh, they're trading away a good quarterback when if you give Goff more time in the system, he could win a Super Bowl." And they end up trading him. They take a risk. The Rams the very next year they end up winning the Super Bowl. I think Goff was still a good quarterback. I don't think there was.
But there's a significant difference between Goff and Dak. within those.
I think
years.
no,
Significant.
Dak's a better quarterback, but I still think it's a similar
What is the
situation
difference?
where
Goff
I
is a
think
worse quarterback and has made a
The
play.
difference is that
made a Super
Jared
Bowl.
Goff got benched in his last year in Los Angeles, and Dak Prescott was in the
no,
MVP
he was
race
also
within
he
2
was
seasons.
he was
Yeah,
injured. He was
who's made a
injured
Super
for-
Bowl in their life?
It's just not a good argument. Like,
How is that
if
not
you're-
a good argument?
If you're gonna make an argument, at least make it a convincing argument. You can't
But
just say
what is the
Nick
argument?
Foles was in the Super Bowl. Is Nick Foles a better quarterback than Dak Prescott?
No, he's
Come
not. But he was in a Super Bowl.
So
Dak
do
has
you
not
want-
been.
Do you give the keys to the Cowboys to the season after Nick Foles won the Super Bowl? Do you give him the keys to that team, or do you give it to Dak?
That's probably the worst argument I've ever heard for
But
blaming someone for having a terrible argument.
that's
No, but
directly
Dylan,
arguing with your point.
Dylan,
here's-
It's just a
Here's
point.
Dylan,
and
what I-
sirs, you've spoken a lot.
Go
Dylan,
ahead.
you are very attached to the quarterback, and I for the love of me won't understand why. I think it's going to affect your love for the Dolphins and for any
Dude,
team.
I'm
that you
not
support.
bringing. You can't
I'm
just
not.
bring in a team.
I'm
to
not,
this.
but
That's
I'm
not
just
how-
saying, Dylan, you have this crazy attachment, and it severely hurts your takes on things.
No, you're just saying that because
I'm not,
you
and let me
disagree
speak,
with the
and let me
opinion. You
speak,
can't,
let me
can't
speak,
tie
let me
it to a
speak.
psyche of mine.
I can.
No, you can't. That's
And
not how that works.
Here's the thing. I just did. Here's the thing. Brock Purdy, you wouldn't say he's better than Dak, right?
No, but I think he can win a
Dak's
Super Bowl.
better.
Yeah, you think, but Purdy has proven he can win a Super Bowl. Purdy could be a terrible
Has he
regular season quarterback, but if he can
Has
go
he
and
been?
win a
No.
Super Bowl, if he can go and win a Super Bowl, Dak can do whatever he wants in the regular season and not this and da 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 and da 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 and da this and throw this touchdowns and be in the MVP race and da. If you go and then lose a playoff game to the Packers and let them score 7 touchdowns, throw 2 interceptions, I don't understand what more you need after he's been on that team for 8 years, and then you have this connection. Well, he's a good regular season quarterback, although you've seen quarterbacks that you deem as worse than him make Super Bowls, but they have to keep on to Dak because trading for a worse quarterback, trading for a guy like Baker Mayfield, who has been more successful in the playoffs, trading for a guy like Brock Purdy, who has been more successful in the playoffs,
I don't know
trading
about
for a
Baker
guy like
being more
Jared Goff,
successful in the
who has
playoffs.
been more successful. He has been because he's made it
big.
farther.
No, he has
I
not.
think Dak has.
Yes,
more
he has.
success.
He made
No,
no,
Baker
he
made
does
it.
not.
Baker made it
No, he has
to
not.
to the divisional round. Dak made it to the divisional round multiple times. It's not. It's Baker
Dak
is
has made
not.
it to the divisional round twice.
Yeah, Baker once.
No,
So,
Baker has made it twice.
once
No.
with the Browns. That was it. Never
No,
more.
he's made it with the Browns
Surge,
twice.
back me up. Surge, back
It
me up.
was once because he
It
beat.
was
They
twice.
beat the.
They beat the Steelers. That was it.
No.
They beat the Steelers. They lost the Chiefs
Please
divisional round.
look it up right now. Please. I need you to look it up right now and tell me to my face that I'm right because I need that.
Okay, I will. Look it up.
Okay,
And
but
screen
anyways,
share it.
here's what I'm gonna say. I think with Dak Prescott, with his contract, and also with the value that comes with getting rid of him, I think you have a significantly a better chance of making this team a lot better, a team that could stack up better with not only obviously the San Franciscos and the Phillies, but now even the Green Bay or Detroit or
So do you think they should
I
move on
think
from Dak?
because if they move on from Dak,
Yes.
you're getting a lot more possible assets to make this team into a juggernaut, which for right now, obviously, given that I don't think there are any really elite quarterbacks on the market, I feel like that's the best way to kind of give your team a chance at actually making it to the Super Bowl, because I don't think with this team that Dak has, you don't have a chance of you don't have a chance of I think with but anyway no but with Dak, I think with keeping Dak, at least I don't think you have as much of a chance of, you can't elevate the team as much as by getting rid of Dak. And I don't think Dak warrants I don't think Dak's play in the postseason has warranted keeping him when you have a chance to elevate the team and maybe build a super team like the Niners have around Brock Purdy, which may give you a better chance to win.
So, and I want to be able to finish this because I do cut people off, but I also get cut off all the time. So I want to have a chance. To finish
You're
my thought.
king. You're king cutoff.
I'll take the crown, but I just want to you to realize that I also do get cut off in an inordinate amount. So I'll let me finish my thought. I think that Dak Prescott, and yes, he's shown that he hasn't been able to win these playoff games, and it is important, of course. But in this situation where you're Dallas What is like you? There's no way that you can make this team, which every year Dallas is looking to be a contender, and Dak has made them a contender every year. He has not played
And
a
then what happens?
Listen, I'm still going. I literally just said, please let me finish my thought.
But I don't understand. You're arguing the same thing. So you're just content with being really good in the regular season and then just losing the playoffs. Like, that's what you're saying.
Matthew Stafford won a Super Bowl after 10 years of being really good.
Okay, but we're not
losing
comparing Dak
season.
to Matthew Stafford.
How am I, why can we compare?
Yeah,
one
Dylan, and you know what
happened?
happened? Dylan, you know what happened? Matthew Stafford went to a different team.
And the Lions lost him, and they got that rebuild. It worked out for both teams in that scenario. But you can't just discredit a quarterback and say he can't win a Super Bowl because he hasn't done it yet. He has the tools. He's a top 10 quarterback in the league. He absolutely can do it.
Look, I hate to like kind of like change my tune on like to switch up on Dak this much because I've been so giving him.
He was an MVP candidate throughout the entire like.
But the problem, the problem is with. I think the problem is the difference is with Stafford. Stafford never had a team that
2015 that team could have gone.
No.
But they didn't.
Never
could have, would have, should have.
Never had. I mean, he had Calvin Johnson, sure, and then he had Golden Tate after that. But they never had a full team that I think that really threatened to go to the Super Bowl. And then when Stafford finally did have that team, they won the Super Bowl. With Dak, I think he's had those teams already, and he's failed to do it in the postseason. Despite how good his regular season play has been, and it has been very good, he hasn't gotten it done in the postseason. And I don't know how you justify keeping him for all that money when it's clear what you're getting out of him is a good quarterback that will consistently take you to the playoffs and have good regular seasons, but won't win you a Super Bowl. And I think unless the Cowboys want to get stuck in that limbo where they really can't upgrade their team enough around Dak where they can elevate him to a Super Bowl, where you can't do that with keeping him because you're paying him like what $40-50 million.
Yeah, but
I feel like that's not worth it. I just feel like that's not worth it. So I think
we're
the
at
difference
a point
with Stafford was where Stafford you could see the. Well, I wasn't finished.
Yeah, I was letting you finish.
Well, with Stafford, I think the difference was that you could see kind of that he was being held back consistently in Detroit, and he went to LA, won a Super Bowl, and obviously that worked out for Detroit too. They just beat Stafford in the playoffs, but yeah, that's basically the point I'm trying to make. I don't think you compare Dak and Stafford like.
So I think the comparison is there in the sense though that it's just a quarterback that hasn't won that big game. He can do it eventually. It's not like it's just
but that's just like I'm sorry,
Dylan,
I'm cutting you off. I know I'm cutting you off,
Dylan,
but you're
you're
just saying that. Okay. Well, Dylan, Zach Wilson hasn't won the big game either.
Yeah, but you know that's stupid. You know that's not.
But that's stupid too. But that's the point I'm trying to make. That's a stupid argument too because you're comparing Stafford and Dak like they're the same quarterback when Stafford is consistently better.
Listen, I jumped to the comparison because it was the first thing that came to my brain, but it took.
That's a bad comparison because there are two different levels.
Okay. You want a new one? It took Drew Brees 12 years in the NFL to win a Super Bowl. Like, it's just it doesn't just snap, and it's taken Dak a long time. But what better choice do the Cowboys have right now? And I know you can try to go full rebuild, but I just don't think that's the right way to go. It is fully a rebuild. If you get rid of Dak Prescott, it's a rebuild. There's no way around it. It fully is.
How is that a rebuild? If you have the best receiver in football, one of them,
that's
the best edge rusher in football. It's not a crazy take.
That's also a bad take, but okay.
It's just not.
I mean, they're
look at
both
the stats.
arguable.
They're both up there, but they're both like pretty clearly not the best. But that's the.
You don't think Micah Parsons is the best edge rusher in football?
Miles Garrett wipes the floor with him in my eyes, but
to be fair, both got like absolutely like
both of them got But
that was definitely a win for TJ Watt fans.
But that's against the point though. They're good players. I know the point you're trying to make.
So how is that a rebuild then?
It's a rebuild because if you're moving on from your coach and your quarterback, you're installing a completely new culture into your team, which might be needed. It might be needed, but
you think it might be needed? You think it might be needed?
Yeah, I do think it might be needed because this is a team that's
Sirs, I don't know what to say. Like
But this is a team right now with elite talent on the board, and if you're going into next season with a bridge gap quarterback, because there's no one you can get in this next offseason that is capable of playing at the level Dak did in regular season or in the postseason.
I think you get Herbert.
That's wishy-washy. You can't hope for that.
But what I will say, I think there's a good chance that maybe they may go the road. They might go with Trey Lance. Honestly, I could see.
No, that's insane. That is insane. I mean, they might.
But again, if you get rid of Dak, you build like kind of because you build like kind of. I know that the Cowboys are already a great team. If you build like a team that really just again across the board is like kind of similar to the Niners, where I think they could still use help at positions like. I would say they could definitely use a little bit more help on the D-line because they kind of have consistently got towards the end of the season. They were getting abused in the run game. I think they could definitely kind of build they could definitely use resources there. They could definitely use resources at linebacker. They could use a better receiver too. They need to bring back Tyron Smith. I think if you get rid of Dak, it opens up more possibilities to kind of elevate a quarterback to a Super Bowl where the quarterback doesn't really have to elevate the team because the team is so good, like we see in San Francisco. And where with Dak, while the Cowboys are still a really good team and a team that with a great quarterback could be elevated to the Super Bowl, it's clear that Dak doesn't have that ability. And it's not like he has to elevate them like a lot. It's clear that he just didn't elevate them at all in the playoffs.
Listen. Based on track record, you're right. Dak hasn't gotten the Cowboys to the playoffs, and he's had opportunities to. I mean, in his rookie year, that was the best football team. I mean, that Cowboys team had a Rookie of the Year and an MVP, and Dak won the MVP that year. But it was Ryan won the MVP, but he was considerably in the running. But wait, that was Matt Ryan's MVP year, right? 2016?
That was, yeah.
Yeah, but Dak was like very clearly considered throughout the majority of the season. Zeke was the Rookie of the Year. But the thing where I just can't fully grasp what your point is about Dak and not being like he hasn't won the games, sure, but the ability he has, you got to look at it from a more of a tangible thing. The ability that he has as a quarterback is not completely taken away when he steps foot in the magical playoffs. It's just been a bad step of games from multiple pieces. I mean, the loss he had last year, that I would blame that nowhere near Dak Prescott. This year it was bad from him. I mean, it's a string of bad results, but it's not like he's a bad quarterback turn January. Like, it's just I feel like it's a little bit contradictory to just say he loses his powers. I feel like that's just like that doesn't really work.
But the problem is
I honestly couldn't agree more with Thomas Scott in the chat. I think the Cowboys are just as good with Mayfield, and I think they're just as good with Kirk Cousins. I couldn't agree with that anymore.
Kirk Cousins, I agree with Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is really good, but I can't agree with that just because. The point I'm really trying to make is it's not like the quarterback has a voodoo in the playoffs. It's just that these games haven't gone his way, and he's a great quarterback.
Objectively, that's not exactly
I hate your like
wishy-washy.
But yeah, Dylan, I don't like your wishy-washy. It just didn't go his way today. He played awful, and he does it every play.
I literally said he played awful. No, he doesn't play awful.
Dylan. Don't say you said that. Don't. You're making out to be like, you literally said, yeah, like it wasn't his day, like a bad game. Like
I said, that
even though it's happened six times. It's happened 6 times.
Let's go through his playoff losses, shall we? Green Bay in his rookie year, he was phenomenal in that game, and they lost. Right? That was a great game on his part.
No, that was a game where they trailed for a long time.
Yeah,
he came back. He played, but he wasn't phenomenal.
He had potentially one of the best playoff comebacks in the 2010s decade, and then Rodgers did his Rodgers thing. But that would have been considered a legacy-defining game if they go out and win, and the defense gets the stop. Let's go back.
Did they win? Did they win, Dylan?
Oh yeah, I forgot that Dak Prescott was supposed to stop one of the greatest plays. But
did they win? No.
Let's go into the Rams game in 20. That was a very good. Yeah, thank you. Let's go into the Rams game in 2019. I don't fully remember this game. I'm going into the box score. He played a solid enough. It wasn't a great game. It was a solid enough game. It
wasn't. I remember that 2019 game. He did
20 for 32, 266, 1 touchdown. That's not no interceptions.
Okay, after today's epic stat padding performance from Dak, I'm not gonna be 4 or
Okay,
5
that's
wins
fair. That's
possible.
fair. And you know what? You know what? I will say I don't remember that game so well, so I'm not gonna.
I mean,
use
I
it.
kind of vaguely
But-
could say, but I know like Dallas were trailing like the entire way, and I just think that was a
Yeah.
game where the Rams were better. I feel like.
In that wild card game against Seattle, though, he had a great game in that year. I do remember that one. The loss to San Francisco last 2 seasons ago, I thought he played a good game. It wasn't a great game, but it was a good game, and he got screwed by bad play calling in the final drive. If they were able to manage the clock efficiently, they would have won that game, and that was on
Which
Mike McCarthy.
Which game was that?
2021, they lost on the QB draw play call.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are you really
not a
saying?
good game.
It wasn't a good
It
game.
was a pretty good game. It was a
I
pretty good game.
remember.
Like,
Pretty good. That'll win us Super Bowls.
But I just don't think he was a good performance. I mean, he was they only put up 17 points that game. I mean,
yeah, but
were-
there are quarterbacks that have put up less points that have had good performances, though.
yeah, but I
but-
don't think his was one of them. I don't think there was.
I remember him being solid in that game. Last year, that was a very poor game. I will chalk that. And this year was also a very poor game. But
So,
it's
Dylan, essentially, what you're saying is he's regressed essentially in the playoffs. Is based on the timeline you just went through. It went from really good,
Okay.
really good, pretty good, bad, bad, bad.
No, it was good, bad. But the point you're making does stand. I would say, yes, that is the truth, that he has had 2 bad games in a row in the playoffs, and that is something to look at, and that's something to improve the roster on. But I don't know how, like Surge specifically here, I don't know how you can sit here and say Trey Lance does a better job with this roster.
I'm not saying he does a
way.
better job with this roster, but it's
Like-
clear that Dak can't win with a very good
Yeah.
roster. So you just have to make it into an elite roster by getting rid of Dak.
Yeah.
I don't think that getting rid of Dak is the way to make this a roster.
Getting rid of
elite,
Dak
though.
undeniably frees up more assets.
Of course it
and
does, but
money.
you can also get rid of DeMarcus Lawrence, who was pretty much invisible for the second half of the year, who has a very big contract as well. You can also get rid of there's a multitude of players on this team that you can free cap space up on and make
I
this
think
roster.
Dak,
into
and
a
I
team
think
that
Dak
can
is one of
compete.
them because Dak
I think
obviously
Dak is
is
one
the
of them.
crown jewel.
But would you rather take a risk with a new quarterback that you have
Yes.
no idea how they're going to succeed, or
Yes.
hedge your bets, keep Dak Prescott and play and make the roster into the team you think it can be by freeing up cap space from DeMarcus Lawrence, Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks? Like, sure, like there's a lot of players on this team that get paid way too much
With
that
this
they can free
roster,
up.
with this roster, but not as much as they would be able.
But
to
Dylan,
free up
it's
Dak.
different
But I
if
think,
Dak
but I
wasn't
think
losing-
also to answer your question, I would say yes because at least with the unknown, you obviously maybe they flame out, maybe it's clear that, and with this roster, you could tell pretty quickly if Trey Lance or whoever they bring in is ready.
I'll
to
make
win.
this prediction
Is
right now.
Wait, no, let me finish.
Okay.
You would be able to see very quickly with Trey Lance, whoever that quarterback is in place of Dak, whether or not they're good enough to play for the Cowboys, because ultimately they have a very good roster and they would have an even better roster by obviously getting rid of
That's
Dak.
funny, actually.
Like that's what I mean. Like
But I'm
I'm
saying
saying Dak. I'm saying Dak mainly. I'm saying
I just don't understand Dylan. Dylan has a
So-
weird fixation with quarterback. I mean, Serge, he's not gonna back down. I
I will make
I
this
don't-
prediction
I think
right
with
now.
I
at
don't
least with the
understand
unknown,
anyone who is fine with sticking
you're
with
getting
that.
something. You're getting maybe a potential unknown where maybe by getting more good players, getting like a better team, and getting a quarterback that maybe could step up in the playoffs and could be better than Dak. At least that's unknown. And if
There's
it doesn't
just
work
not
out, then
enough-
you move off him quickly. And with that,
There's
you
really
kind of
just
know what
not-
you're getting at this
So,
point.
so your solution is a bridge quarterback.
No, your solution is kind of
How many times has that worked in the past couple of years? So many
I think
times.
your I think
bridge
your solution
quarterback?
is to take.
Yes.
I think your solution is to
Garoppolo.
take a gamble. I think. Your solution
Okay,
is
but
to
that was
take a
San
gamble.
Francisco. That's so different.
How is
San
that
Francisco-
different? Those are both incredibly good.
I'm talking
rosters.
about Bill.
I think Goff is a good answer, but Goff also proved that he's more than that. I don't know anyone in this quarterback class of free agency that they would try to go in
Cousins.
for. That is, Cousins is a good answer too, but they're not going to get Cousins because he's going to either stay in Minnesota or retire. But there's just
He's not retiring.
probably not. But torn Achilles is rough,
And he
and
won't stay in Minnesota. Minnesota.
I think
terrible.
I think he would.
I think he'll stay.
stay in Minnesota.
But
I think if you look
but
at
I
this
think-
draft class, and I think if you get one of these top 3 quarterbacks, I would be.
Yeah, I think Dallas is definitely going to be able to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks with the 26th pick or so.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. You know what they do? Trade Dak Prescott.
would you really rather trade Dak Prescott and
Yes.
take the risk on Drake
Yes.
May? No.
Yes.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Yes.
No
Yes.
way.
But also,
Dylan, don't argue with us on
even
draft
trading
stuff.
Dak. No, but also no team would trade a chance to get Caleb or May or even Daniels to get Dak Prescott.
I mean,
Which
I agree
literally
with
proves
that.
our
I
point.
agree with that, though. I agree with that. But I don't think either of the teams would do the trade. But either way, my point being, both of you think that it makes sense for the Cowboys to take a bridge quarterback this year and try to rebuild for the future. I don't think this roster is built for a bridge quarterback.
I'm not
this
saying,
roster,
but Trey Lance, I think, which is an option I've floated around, isn't a bridge quarterback. It's a boom or bust. I feel like.
and you would rather do that and risk the chance of having a 5-12 season?
Yes, because
I-
I think it's clear
I
that
can't
the
get behind
Cowboys'
that.
ceiling
I
at
can't
this
get
point
behind
is
that.
a divisional round exit. They haven't made the
But
playoff. They haven't made it to the
the
conference
ceiling with-
championship since 1995.
The,
Why not
the
take-
ceiling with
That's what
the ceiling
again.
with
And I
McCarthy.
hate
I'll let you
and I
talk.
hate
I'll let you
and I
talk.
hate
I'll
to
let you
make
talk.
I hate to make this equivalency because I know it sounds like I'm comparing like apples to oranges, and I am basically. But that's what the Chiefs did when they moved on from Alex Smith to go to Patrick Mahomes. They took a risk, and it's not the
Literally,
same.
You're gonna say
It's
and
like nowhere
It's
near
not.
the
It's
same,
no.
but-
No, I know it's not the same.
but how?
But
But how is
ob-
it not the same?
Boy, no,
because
but let me-
Alex Smith was not Dak Prescott. Alex Smith was at best.
Alex
Derek
Smith was.
Carr.
What are you talking?
Dak Prescott. Alex Smith was a pretty good quarterback.
Alex Smith
I
was
would-
a great quarterback on the
Alex-
Chiefs.
but
Alex Smith
Dak
was a
Prescott was
great
literally
quarterback.
the MVP favorite at a point in this season.
He's been the MVP favorite at every point, and then he goes and throws a pick six. And
I mean,
then
you're also
blatantly
forgetting
loses.
Alex Smith at points was NFL.
No,
was an
I
MVP
was
favorite.
disrespectful to Alex Smith there, though. I was disrespectful to Alex Smith.
Dylan, I just-
Okay, and I'm not saying Trey Lance is Patrick Mahomes at all. But what I'm saying is that we've seen teams in the past with a Super Bowl like caliber offense take that risk because with Alex Smith, you knew the ceiling you were getting. With Patrick Mahomes, you aren't. And I don't think Trey Lance has Patrick Mahomes' ceiling, but he may have a ceiling that's significantly higher than he does have a ceiling, I think, actually, that's higher than Dak Prescott's, which is we can see is a divisional round exit. And obviously his floor is a lot lower. Like you said, I don't even think 5-12 is floor just because I think that team is so good and it will get better. I think
Trey Lance
But-
managed to squander the opportunity that he had to be the
Trey
quarterback.
Lance was
of-
injured almost. Trey Lance
The
was injured
entire
like
time.
almost
That's-
every chance he got.
But he did have a chance this offseason.
Not
and
really.
Yes, he did.
No,
But
at that
it was-
point, Brock Purdy was like undefeated as a starter, and
Yeah, I mean, Dylan, you would not have said move on from
we
Purdy.
kind of
knew it
knew
was
all
Purdy.
offseason it was Purdy's job.
I thought so because I've always been anti-Lance, but it's
It
like,
was
I just-
it was always likely to be.
Serge, I honestly, and you were pulling around to this. I say that I think Trey Lance. We saw what his ceiling could be. We've seen what Jordan
And I
Love
think
did.
there's a
Not
good-
to say that they're the
Yeah.
same.
Mhm.
But Jordan Love and Trey Lance, you look at play style, two very similar quarterbacks, two big guys, two rushing upside, two massive arms, accurate quarterbacks. If I'm the Cowboys, you can trade Dak, definitely get a first round pick. You had 2 first-round picks, incredibly deep receiving class, incredibly deep defensive line class, very good cornerback class.
I don't think you get 2 firsts for Dak, but you get
Yeah, if
one.
you can-
Or-
No,
If
no,
you
no, no,
can
no,
make
no.
a trade that's
You'll
worth
have
it.
2 first-round picks because they already have.
Oh,
first-round
yeah.
picks.
Listen. If you can, I feel like you guys think I'm overplaying my hand. If you can make a trade that's worth it, and you look at I'm not saying that Dak is untouchable. If you can make a trade that's worth it, and it looks like it'll advance your franchise, by all means go and do that. But I just don't think that there's an option on the table. Like I don't think you can go into next season expecting not to make the playoffs, because I think if you are able to go in and instead of take out Dak's contract, you take out some of the older deadwood on this team's contract, like for example, DeMarcus Lawrence or Stephon Gilmore.
But for
or
me, I think from
an
with
offensive
my-
line.
I think referring to DeMarcus Lawrence as Deadwood is a little bit harsh.
He
He's
was
still a great
no.
defensive player.
That's fair. That's fair. But I think it would do much better by the Cowboys to get rid of the cap space in that way, and at least try to contend one more year with Dak before you go into the full rebuild.
But Dylan, what's the point of delaying it?
Because you're not delaying it. This team is still. I think my reasoning is I think Dak is capable with the roster that fits him to win a Super Bowl. So and also you're
With
also
this
forgetting-
roster, I mean, this
I think
roster is
if-
already a very good roster, and it was clear that
I
he
think
wasn't able.
But I think if you got some cap, you bring in some guys that make sense, and you bring in a good offensive play caller, better than McCarthy and Schottenheimer.
I feel like McCarthy has actually been a very good play caller.
He's been good enough, but I don't think you can compare him to
their
some of the
offense
best.
was the highest scoring offense in the National Football League. McCarthy was
And that was-
very much a good play caller.
But so you can use regular season stats when it doesn't refer to Dak. I don't get your point.
No, I think
What
we all
is
know
that?
that Dak
What is
is a good regular season.
Yeah, I've never denied Dak being a good regular season quarterback.
You use the number one passing offense in the league as if it's an important stat in the regular season, but then you discredit Dak because of he's only good in the regular season.
Yeah, because
that's
he threw 2 interceptions and a pick 6 that was directly his fault and had nothing to do.
I'm
with
not
McCarthy.
denying that he had a bad game, and I'm also not denying that he is touchable. You can move him. I just don't see the way you do it this year.
He is touchable. Let's not try and say that again.
well, I think.
Did you see what the guy Jones what?
Yeah.
Bruce Jones
It's
threw
like,
it.
do you think he could ride that D? It's
That
like
was so funny that he did it on live
Defense.
TV. He's like, bro.
the guy that like the camera crew deserves an Emmy for that shit. Like,
I know,
the way
'cause
they
yeah.
stand to him, it's just like defense.
Yeah,
That was funny as shit. But anyways.
Listen, final thoughts. I want to touch on the other game, and I'll let you guys get final thoughts.
I think if you're the Dolphins, I think you trade Tua. I think that's
that's exactly what we were talking about right now. Yeah.
Trade to a draft Bo Nix.
okay. So Dylan, this isn't. I'm not trying to start anything because we didn't really get to talk to Serge about the Dolphins because we didn't watch the game with him.
Let's keep this at a minimal so I don't.
I know. But I'm just asking. Serge.
But when it's like
Yeah.
you with the Jets, it's different,
Yeah.
right? I heard all that shit all
Yeah.
season long, and
Listen,
we get to gloss over. No, actually, let's talk about it. Let's go.
I
into
have
depth
multiple
about it.
times said I'm sorry that your season ended that way because of Aaron Rodgers. I don't feel like I've been that harsh this season, honestly. I feel like
Serge,
I've been pretty understanding.
if you are the Miami Dolphins, Serge, is Tua the answer? Can he win a Super Bowl? No.
I don't
Serge,
think he
overthinking.
can. I don't think he can win a Super Bowl. And I've said that all along. That's the
Yeah.
take I've been consistent about. I've given two of his flowers this season. Dylan, you can like.
Yeah, I'll
admit
give
that
it.
I've been fair to him.
We've had this.
I've
We've
been-
had this
my
talk
opinion-
privately, yeah.
Yeah, my opinion has been like I feel like I haven't brought my bias like this season into my opinion on Tua.
No, you've been fair.
I honestly think that he's been a good quarterback, but I don't think he can win a Super Bowl just because of what we've seen this year. Well, I mean towards the end of in December consistently.
this guy's cooking
He's
the comment
cooking, he's
section.
cooking.
I'm laughing
But,
every
like-
10 seconds right now.
But like, I think based on what we've seen with Tua in December, or I know he's also been injured times in December, but also the time where he's played, especially in big games, the way he played in his first playoff appearance, and the roster you have around him. I don't think you should. I think Tua. I think he deserves one more year. I think he does deserve one more year.
I will say.
I would say
even as someone who I think Tua is awful.
But I think, like I said, the NFL.
That's I know you're
with the
doing it for the
NFL
camera.
I don't think
Awful
Tua
is
is
a stretch.
No, okay. I don't think he's awful. But again, I guess I'm someone who if I see
Wait.
something wrong and if I see something that I don't think will be successful, I immediately I think that the Giants should trade Daniel Jones. I don't think Daniel Jones is the answer, and that's after 1 year
for sure.
Can I check a backtrack right here? Can you fully admit to the camera that Tua exceeded your expectations throughout the course of his career so far? No? You expected him to spiral out of the year after year 2.
Yes, sir, fellow Jets fan Thomas Scott.
What's Dylan?
You expected them to be out of the league in year 2, based on what you've said over the course of this time on the channel.
I don't think I've ever said that.
I think we started it. I think we haven't even started the channel since Tua has been in year 2.
Yeah, we were definitely. We started the channel
we
during
we
that
started
draft.
the show when Tua got drafted.
Oh
yeah.
no, you're right. I'm tripping. Never mind.
But anyway, that's against the point. Though. I don't even know why I brought that up. But
regardless, and I may have said that, and that's,
you definitely did.
and
but-
that's I don't think I ever said he'd be out of the league. I always, regardless of what I thought, I never thought Tua was a good quarterback. I don't think he had it, and from what I have said, that has been, yes, he's great in the regular season. He has a fantastic scheme around him. He has fantastic weapons around him, and again, I'm someone who I don't love that argument, but I am an avid. I don't think Tua and I think him and Dak are the same. I just think they're two quarterbacks that beat up the bad teams and just absolutely freeze in the big moments. Has Dak proven that more? Yes. Tua, I'm not saying. I think I would be very surprised they traded Tua. They're not. I don't think they would do that. I think Dylan, like you said, I think it's more likely. Although I think it's a lot more idiotic. I think it's more likely that they move on from McDaniels. That being said, I don't think either of them will be gone. I think they will have another year in Miami.
So, sorry, if you have thoughts to finish.
Yeah, no. Like you said, Dylan, if you looking at that regular season from Miami, makes sense, right? And the only reason I know that might be hypocritical based on what I've said for the Cowboys, but Dak has been Dak has had 8 playoff games and has lost 6 of them. Tua has had 1.
And you know what? I respect that you're being firm with your argument and you're making logical sense with it. So for me, where I stand with Tua, I still think that he is a top 10 quarterback in this league. And I think what really moves me on him, and I've said this to Surge, is that every offseason he's tackled his number one problem and made it a strength. 2 seasons ago, everyone was talking about the deep ball. He made that his strength. He was the most accurate deep ball passer in the league the next season. Last season, everyone was talking about. I don't know
if it's a strength.
It is a strength at this point because statistically he has been the most accurate deep ball passer in the league.
But how often is he throwing deep ball compared? That can be such a misleading
pretty
stat.
Often. He actually threw the ball more than 20 yards more times than any other quarterback in the league this year.
But I think I've always said that's more of a Hill and Waddle stat. I feel
it might be, but he made it into something that it's not a weakness anymore. At the very least, I think it's a strength. Now, the next question was, can he stay healthy? He did everything he could in his power to stay healthy, and he added a training regimen, and the concussions are not there. This season, he was one of seven quarterbacks in the AFC, or 5 quarterbacks in the AFC that didn't get hurt because he added regimen.
But that's not based on him. Like if you get hit in the ACL, or if you're running in your ACL tears, that's not you can't attribute not being injured as a strength of his.
In general, I would agree with you. But Tua added judo and taekwondo into his training regimen, and with an active sense of I'm not going to get injured this year, and it worked. He did not get injured. He learned how to fall better, and it worked. He didn't get hurt. He didn't get another concussion, which everyone was saying at the last offseason. I can't wait for his soup brain to get kicked out of the league.
Dylan, he learned how to fall better. So Dylan, today,
Dylan,
this is what I mean. I mean, Dylan, what you just said is the most
Please explain to me how I'm wrong.
He learned how to fall better. So when a 300-pound defensive lineman hits you in the face, you're supposed to fall better. Like when Matt Stafford today, when he threw and he hit against his quarterback and then was slammed. And then was slammed by the offensive lineman. He was supposed to fall better, even though he was probably hit at the ground at 10 miles an hour.
That was a late hit, and the ref should have called that. But Tua,
no, it wasn't. That was a fair hit.
No, not the second one was definitely.
I mean, I'm waiting for it. I'm just waiting for it to click with you, Dylan. He learned how to fall better. I mean, that's
listen to me. How is that absurd? Last season he got 2 concussions.
What does that mean? What does that mean? So he's practicing falling in the offseason.
Yes.
All right, Tua.
Yes.
All right,
that's
Tua.
literally
Today,
what I'm saying.
Like, do you not feel like an idiot saying that? Like,
no, I don't. I know it sounds like it's a small thing, but he got 2 concussions because he banged his head on the turf in the wrong way. He actively learned and trained himself not to do that, and
that's not how gravity works. That's not how. When you fall back, you have 2 options: put your arm behind you and have a chance of breaking it. Like that's.
I would like. Listen. Can you please do your own research after this video and look up Tua's judo training regimen and tell me that?
I don't think he's gonna do that.
I just don't.
I know you don't. Sir, can you please back me up here because you know it sounds weird, but you know what I'm saying. It's true.
Okay, I don't think I've ever talked to you about the judo taekwondo thing.
I just don't.
I mean, to be fair, I've seen.
So that's the solution. So we'll just teach every quarterback after they get hit by a 400-pound defensive lineman that you need to fall better.
Bro,
it's not that funny.
It is.
It's just not that funny.
Yes, it is.
It's pretty funny.
It's pretty funny. Anyways. What was you gonna
I
say?
just Dylan. I mean, it's just like if.
But
we
I
were to say
think
that
we're
about any
spending
other
way too much
quarterback,
time on
yeah.
Tua learning to fall. When I think the real thing I want to talk
Sirs,
about
do you
is
not
that
feel like genuinely stupid saying that? Yeah, Tua learned how to fall.
Listen,
Like
I you can pretend it's not important. And just
Dylan
be
blows my
you can just
mind
be
every new time we talk about
Listen,
Tua.
listen.
Like it
You
gets
can pretend,
more and
you
more
can
just
pretend
like
it's stupid
idiotic.
and pretend to think it's like it sounds weird. Yeah, sure, but it's a shallow argument to say it didn't help because he didn't get injured this year, and
Dylan.
he actively added that into his regiment to not get injured.
Okay,
and
so
it
Dylan,
worked.
so if you do all your research, okay, Dylan, a 300-pound defensive lineman is going to grab you and throw you to the ground, and you have 0.2 seconds to react. How do you fall? Tell me how Tua has learned to fall. The taekwondo? So he floats,
rolled.
like he floats.
He
He like
rolled.
touches the
Listen.
arrow on his forehead, and he
Listen,
starts
I'm
floating.
not going to be able to explain this to you better than if you look up what he did because I can't explain the exact judo moves he did when he fell.
But Dylan, I'm telling you, as someone who not even football, as someone who is a human who lives on Earth and has studied gravity and has been in science classes, when a 300-pound defensive lineman throws you to the ground,
you roll instead of bang your head on the turf.
Dylan, when you are thrown down this way, it's physically impossible to do this while you are falling. That's what gravity is, and that's why that's why I'm sitting down on the floor right now. Because when you're thrown to the ground, you can't just go, "Oh, I'm gonna roll."
But there's a difference. There's a difference between the one scenario you're bringing up where the 300-pound lineman runs at him and plants him into the ground, and the majority of NFL sacks.
Can I give my take?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is the most pointless conversation of all
That's
time.
very
I don't
fair.
know why
That's
we're
fair.
talking about him learning to fall when we should talk about his actual quarterback play. And here's my
I agree with you.
And that's why no, let me talk.
Yep. Sorry.
But with Tua, I know you talked about that he fixed his supposed biggest weakness, but I think he had multiple huge weaknesses. One of which that he didn't fix was his ability to create off script, his ability to kind of make plays out of structure, which you admitted after the game against the Dolphins was very important and was necessary to winning a Super Bowl. And it's not like this is like a new weakness. This has been a weakness in this game for a while. I think it's been a very prevalent weakness in this game for a while. I think another weakness that you have is that when he has to go against a good team, when he has to go into very undesirable weather conditions, that also doesn't help him because he's objectively a quarterback that has a pretty weak arm. And we saw that against Kansas City where he was missing throws in the cold, which it was a very bad it was obviously not ideal conditions, but when the other quarterback is Patrick Mahomes and someone who's definitely you're going to be seeing a lot in the playoffs, that's just something you're going to have to overcome, and Tua wasn't able to do it. So I don't know how he's to be able to fix that weakness when it just seems to be a talent issue, something that he doesn't really.
Nah, I disagree with that because the reason I disagree with that is because I think that the main reason that he doesn't seem to be able to perform off script, and it hasn't looked good off script. I'm not going to show you.
Let me guess, McDaniel. Let me guess, it's McDaniel. It's never Tua.
Dude, I've played this to you in private, and you've agreed with my take to a point. Like you have.
No, but I've always said that you haven't given Tua enough blame.
You can't just use the I talk Serge about in private. That's just not like you.
But listen, I did, but he's playing.
You did, but I always agreed that you weren't giving enough blame to Tua and you were giving too much to McDaniel.
No, and I know, but I was gonna explain my point, but you're making it out to be as if it's a joke of an answer. That's why I'm. It's.
But I think it's just a tired point because you're always going McDaniel when Tua.
I've started with the McDaniel rampage literally like a week ago. Before
this is the most factual comment I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's completely an ass in the NFL.
Do you want
because the level of competition is higher.
Dylan, stop doing that. Do you want me to explain this?
I'm sorry. I'm supposed to just agree with what you say. My bad. I'm supposed to just agree with exactly what you say and not explain. My bad. Sorry.
Mike.
You are right. My bad. I can't have an
because there's always an excuse. There's always an excuse.
Bro, the mic when you get mad is so funny. It goes crazy.
I'm just supposed to agree with you because there's always an excuse. Like what? Like no.
Dylan, first of all, you have lost all credibility after saying Tua learned how to fall. I will
That's just
never
not
ever.
true.
I'll never ever let you live that down. The next time
Please
you
don't.
ever
Please
prove
don't.
something like it's just.
Please, every time I make a valid point, please say Tua learned how to fall.
Yeah, I will,
please.
and this is gonna be posted, and as always,
Yeah,
Dylan is
beautiful.
going to be ripped apart.
I am excited to see. But anyway,
It's
back to my
but
point.
Serge, and Dylan, just to close it out, is that not the most
How are we
outrageous
closing
thing
it out?
you've ever?
I didn't mean for this to get become a big segment. I literally said, "Don't make me mad." Look,
He's made you.
But you made me mad by saying Tua learned how to fall.
Okay, so that's your biggest problem. Okay, you can just be nearsighted about it. I don't really care that much. So
I'm being near.
yeah. So
Even though I proved the gravity to him, but I guess he didn't take good sides.
So-
I don't know. I just
in season 5, where we have probably the same system, what Tua's going to need to do, and he's going to need to throw off platform for more. That's what's going to be needed to happen. He's going to need to make plays with his legs. Those are what I would like to see the improvements. And I don't see a reason that the argument you made, Serge, is that you don't think he can make those improvements. I don't see why that's the truth. I think he can very well make those improvements because coming into the league.
When have we seen that though? What about Tua's athletic profile shows that he can do that?
When he came into the league as a rookie, he was expected to be a player that came in, like what Thomas Scott said, he made more athletic plays in college. And now we've seen
college.
Listen,
where
let me
the
talk.
competition.
Let me talk. He's been hindered by play calling that has not let him play out of structure every single season of his career. So what I think needs to happen is, if the Dolphins are going to win a Super Bowl, they need to loosen the rein on the McDaniel to Tua relationship and let it be more free. Now,
the
do I
reason
think
Tua was
to a
good this
certain-
season was because of McDaniel? It's never his fault.
I mean, to a degree,
dude, it's just
Listen,
listen, there's no winning.
If the Dolphins want to be a playoff losing team in the first round, they keep it as it is. But if they want to take a chance and get to the next level, they loosen the reins and let. I don't know how this is an unpopular opinion.
But
they
no,
loosen the
here's-
reins and let Tua try
Mike
to play
McDaniel,
out.
one of the smartest people, one of the smartest coaches,
I didn't say fire him.
didn't think
Like-
of loosening the reins. Dylan has the answers, guys. Let's just loosen the reins and let Tua run around. Dylan, that's not how it works. Quarterbacks that are elite do it themselves when they play out of structure, not because the coach says, go play out of structure. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, they do it when they don't have an answer. Tua snaps the ball, throws it in 2 seconds. These quarterbacks
Because
have
the
the
reins
ability
are.
to play out of
That's actually a
structure.
great argument.
It's not.
No, it
it's
is.
not
It
how
is a good
works.
argument. No, it's fair.
No,
It's fair.
and it is, and it destroys your entire.
It doesn't.
argument.
It doesn't.
Yes,
you know why it doesn't?
Yes,
you know why it
does.
doesn't?
And you're actually
Because none
pissing
of
me
these
off.
players, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, none of them have played in a scheme that is this rigid on first and second reads and middle of the field.
Serge,
Dylan,
it is
now let me talk.
mind-numbing.
Let me
It's
talk.
fucking mind-numbing.
Here's
It's
the
like
problem.
insane.
Here's the problem now with your take. Because you've said this now for multiple coaching staffs. You said this in
I
the
have.
Flores era. You said this now you said it in the McDaniel.
Please
era. You
try
said
to
with the new
defend
coaching
Brian
staff.
Flores. Please.
I am not defending him. And then we went to a new coach, and you have the same gripes. And where do we like? No. Let me.
Okay.
And
My bad.
where do we attribute the blame to the lack of out of structure play to Tua? Like Kian said, the best quarterbacks aren't being told to play out of structure. They're just playing out of structure. So I think with McDaniel and where you've moved on and you've kind of tried to find an out of structure, not a new like kind of scheme that's more suited for Tua, he still hasn't tried to play out of structure. And I think a large part of that is because that's just not his style. And I think one of the reasons that also, if you really want to say that this system is really so rigid it doesn't allow for out of structure play, I think that's more of an indictment on Tua and the fact that I don't think McDaniel really thinks that he is
That's
capable
fair.
of doing
That's
that.
fair. So that's fair. And this will be the last I speak on it. If you guys want to keep ranting, you guys can keep ranting. This is the last thing I'm going to say. You've made fair points. He hasn't played well enough out of structure yet in his career. And while I might think that might be more due to schematics, I do agree that in big moments he hasn't stepped up yet. But that's where I think he has what it takes to change that in this offseason and going into the next seasons, because I've seen enough of him within the last few seasons. He was the passing leader in the league this year, that he can improve and make himself that star quarterback. I don't think that it's a fair thing to say he doesn't have it when he's had one fully healthy season now, and he did more than what was expected of him in it. I think he can very easily improve and become better.
I don't think
I think
so.
very easily he's doing a lot of work there.
Yeah, I think the out of structure trait in a player is not something that you just learn and you're able to do.
Yeah, I think that's
that's
the thing that you can't coach.
That's
I feel
something
like
you
that's, like,
cannot coach.
That is just, I think, yeah.
For some reason, Tua Khan had it in college and then said, "I'm just not going to use it anymore."
I said
I
it's
think
the last thing I was
it's
gonna
not
say.
even
It's the last
that.
thing
I think a
I'm
lot of it. I think a lot of it is also. I saw some Dolphins fans saying this, that a lot of it is because he's also tried to gain weight and protect himself from that injury,
Yeah,
and it's
that's
in
true.
turn
That's
cost
true.
him a lot of his mobility, which I don't know.
But that being said, though, we did see him make some plays with his legs yesterday, and I'm not going to use yesterday's game too much.
No,
he did make.
I don't.
He ran. It
we
was a
saw
third and 12.
we
he
saw
got it.
that. Yes, he ran the ball, but he wasn't able to effectively because he's like just not that athletic.
No, he's not that fast. I agree with you, but I think he does have more than what we've seen. But I said that was the last thing I'm going to say. We want to move to the Lions
And it
game.
wasn't.
Yeah.
But yes. But
All right.
yeah.
Lions game. Obviously, revenge game for Goff. That being said, though, great game from the Rams. I don't know why. This may be just me. That game ended very quickly and like abruptly. I don't know why. Maybe that was just completely me.
I agree.
I don't like it was
I
weirdly
see
just
that.
it ended. Like I think there was like 3 minutes left. I went to the bathroom, I came back and they were kneeling and I was like, wait, what just happened? Yeah, that's actually thinking about that was very weird. But look, for the Lions, obviously, is that just me? Like, was that
deceptively fast?
Yeah, I don't know what.
I agree with you. I mean, I would like to give my weekly shout out to Dan Campbell for again revolutionizing football in coaching by instead of
Dylan's been a Dan Campball truther for a long time.
Instead of running the ball on 2nd and 8 with the team tie, with the game like on the line, you throw an inside route pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown that if it goes incomplete, you give the Rams way more time and get the first down and win the game. It wasn't like it was a 3rd and 3. It was 2nd and 8. Yeah. That is just like, you do not see that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest compliment I can give to this new era Lions is when they were in that position to like 2nd and 9 and a first down wins the game. I had no doubt they were going to get it because again, like I said, they're a team that's not afraid to be aggressive. I think with a lot of teams you see they'll run the ball 2 times and like hope that their defense makes a stop. I think Dan Campbell is going to try and make a play with his weapons. He's going to trust them like he's done all season, and they made a play. And it speaks to the personnel that they've built. Obviously, getting guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, that entire offensive line, Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, getting those guys. Getting a coach like Dan Campbell who isn't afraid to make those calls, getting an OC like Ben Johnson, who is like probably one of the best play designers in the entire league. I was not shocked when the Lions got that first down to win the game because I saw it coming. I knew it was going to happen. Well, I won't say I knew it was going to happen, but I was very confident it was going to happen. It felt inevitable. And you really never had that sense with the Detroit Lions. So credit to them. Really happy for them. I mean, it's been so long. They had the longest playoff drought in the entire NFL, which now belongs to the Miami Dolphins. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, he learned how to fall, bro. That's not going to last for long.
He did. And so my major takeaway in this game, at least critically, because we can look at it and just say it was a great game from both teams. It was a good game from both teams. But my critical takeaway for the Rams was why didn't they involve Kyren Williams? It was a running. He was a running back.
He was injured for
he was banged up, but he could have played. I think. I don't think it was a.
No,
I don't think it was a game breaker. No.
Yeah, it was. It was his hand.
It
definitely
does have. It definitely does have an impact.
No, it does. It does. But you know what? That's a fair enough answer. So I'll give you guys that. So
I think honestly, yeah. I think honestly what the Lions are just a classic example of a team that has built themselves up year in, year out, and they are a very well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what it was. And I think the Rams are also, but I think the Lions are just that bit better. And it showed it. I mean, 1-point game. Sean McVay, fantastic head coach. Stafford played amazing. all credit to Stafford. Stafford had a great game, battled through adversity with the already injured thumb. Then he cut his hand on the helmet. And he was all
Stafford
I
was
mean,
getting killed.
yeah,
that
He
game.
Stafford was getting
he was so
killed.
good today too. He was so good.
I know.
Today.
I don't know how he was even allowed that game. I feel like for sure.
Yeah,
he
I'm
was
sure.
concussed. Like, did you see that play where he went down?
He should have just rolled. Like he should have just rolled.
That
Yep.
actually should've rolled. But I think with like that play where you see kind of his eyes almost like rolled, rolled
Yeah,
back.
that was actually
That was
scary.
scary. That
I
was
was like,
scary.
I was
Yeah.
like,
that was
how was he
scary.
allowed back in that game? Like that
I
just
know.
seems like such a
And
clear
now
concussion. But
I would think that the concussion review team is going to come in and have him ineligible
Yeah.
for like the start of whatever workouts they have to do because they're going to.
I think
if
if they won, whether it was the ribs injury or the head or the possible concussion, I think he would have been ruled out for next week. Anyway,
Yeah.
obviously hypothetical, that doesn't matter now, but definitely an interesting point. But I think the Lions were the better team. I think one thing that I really underestimated when I did pick the Rams. I know I wasn't on for the playoff predictions, but I had the Rams winning that game. One thing that I didn't take into account was really how important like having a good offensive line is, especially considering how uncommon it is nowadays, where I feel like so many teams have very mid to poor offensive lines, and the amount of times that quarterbacks have to throw is basically like non-existent. You have to get the ball like that. And with the Lions, they're not one of those teams. They're one of those teams that can really bully you because they've got really every guy on that line, whether it's Decker, Sewell, Glasgow, Ragnow. They've got a bunch of guys that are very dependable, and we saw that Goff, like at least in the first half especially, he really had all day to throw. And on that game-winning play with Amon-Ra, he had time. He got the ball to him. Having a great offensive line is huge, and whether or not they play
you
the
saw
Eagles
that.
and the Bucks, I think that's going to be
the
something
trenches
that's
are
gonna be,
the trenches
I
are
mean,
always going to
I
be.
think
They
the,
highlighted it. I mean, they neutralized Aaron Donald.
I
Aaron
think
Donald did absolutely nothing.
Aaron Donald was
neither did Kobe Turner.
To be
Yeah,
fair
Kobe.
to Aaron Donald, I don't understand. I mean,
He was getting triple teamed all game, but
triple team. I don't understand.
and with the guys that the Lions have, that's basically a death sentence. So.
And it's funny because Aaron Donald, obviously, the whole thing with Aaron Donald is like he's so good, but is not a defensive tackle size. It's like it looks funny because he looks like he's getting like bullied because he's like, but obviously, Aaron
And
Donald.
obviously he's like
Please
one of the
do not
strongest
hurt me.
players in the-
Yeah.
So the major takeaway now for the Lions is you go into this next game, you're probably going to play either the Eagles. You're playing either the Eagles or the Bucks because the Packers won and they play the Niners in
And
San
I think this is
Francisco.
a lot easier of a game.
It's so much easier of a game now that you get to play at home. There's no you're in Detroit again, and unless Jalen Hurts is able to figure stuff out with Philadelphia, I really don't know. I don't know how they. I think this is a championship team.
I don't think it's a question of Jalen Hurts figuring it out as much as it is.
It's everyone. Yeah,
I think it's like
It's
Brian
funniest
Johnson
thing.
on offense and mainly the defense. I think
Yeah.
I think no matter who they play, I think.
Well, first of all, I'm
I'm
really excited to actually watch the game tomorrow and see the Bucks as well, just as much as the Eagles. But I think I don't know if you.
That game for the life of me, I don't know.
I just have no idea. I don't know if you
It's
guys
just-
saw, but Jalen Hurts tweeted like, "You better be ready," and it's like Quez Watkins, and it's like, we know you're not gonna do anything tomorrow,
bro.
So
Quez
funny.
Watkins.
Yeah, he was like, "I was born ready." Like he's gonna have a good game.
Olamide Zacchaeus clears. I don't even. I mean,
I don't know.
Zacchaeus.
Just give Britton Covey the reps. Who knows? Like
vintage Julio performance coming up.
Wait,
That
so
would
then
actually be
the
nice.
Niners play the Packers, right?
yeah,
I mean,
it'll be in
obviously,
Santa Clara.
I
It'll
am
be in
interested for that
Dude,
game. I'm
I'm invested. Yeah.
That'd be such a
The
good
one
game.
problem is again, I know that even though the Packers did have 32 points, they did quell a lot of the noise that they didn't have what it takes in the playoffs, and they basically shut down Dallas until they put up a bunch of garbage time.
Yeah. No, it was garbage time points at the end of the game. Yeah.
But
Okay,
San
actually,
Francisco is
yeah.
a different beast.
I forgot, and we're gonna
And
bounce back.
I still do hold my skepticism about that defense.
I mean, yeah.
But I also am confident in the Packers offense, in particular Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur and Aaron Jones, honestly, against almost any unit in the NFL. And that includes San Francisco. Just
The
because of what
only
he's been
issue-
doing.
Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
No, I mean that's basically what I was saying.
Okay. The only issue I have is that San Francisco have the best linebacking core other than maybe Baltimore, and that's going to be what can shut down a shorter distance of offense. Like, this isn't a team with a deep threat. This is a team that's going to thrive in the intermediate game. And San Francisco,
I think Christian Watson is that deep threat. I think you
he
could see
didn't
him
touch
play.
the ball today. Like,
Yeah, that was his first
But
game.
Dylan,
back. I feel
it obviously
feel
didn't
like
matter.
I feel like with the
Packers,
Packers, it's every week. I feel like with the Packers, it's every week a different receiver stepping
Okay,
up. Just
yeah,
because
no,
they didn't have
yeah,
a good game
How
this week. I think
how do they score 7? I mean, I guess Aaron Jones, but like
Aaron Jones had
7
3,
touchdowns
Dontavion
without
Wicks,
yeah.
Luke
Dante
Musgrave,
Wicks.
Yeah, Serge.
Romeo
don't get me
Dobbs.
started.
I have. I
Nah,
promise.
Serge,
You don't even
I'll
have
say
to
it.
be-
I'll say it. I'll
me
say
and
it. I'll
Charlie-
say it. He did.
No, I know he did. Me and Charlie were just messing.
Yeah.
That was cool. Using my.
Wait, I'm sorry, but I wanna go. We're gonna bounce back because I was doing this while I was watching the game. Where I'm gonna go over, and I love doing this. We did this with Stroud. Quarterbacks, you would take over Jordan Love. I have a couple listed, and you just gotta say if you take them, if you wouldn't. Burrow,
Yes.
Yes, I would take Burrow.
take Burrow.
Mhm.
All right, I'm gonna go Dylan. Just so you're not saying the same time, Dylan, you respond, then you go Serge.
Yeah,
So
okay.
take Burrow. Dak Prescott.
I'm gonna say wait for next year or for the future in general.
I'm just saying now how they're playing now. Just,
Right
you guys
now-
always do this like just who. Would
But
you take?
but it's an important question because right now I do take Dak, but for the future I would take Love. So Dak.
I feel like you have to say Love.
I would say Love also. That being said, though, respect to Dak for the regular season he had. Stroud.
Stroud.
I would take Stroud, and I'm not saying it's
That's
close, but
close.
if Love plays like this, dude, Love had an absolutely incredible, impeccable game.
I think he
He
looked
made
like
every kind of throw.
Like
Yeah, he was-
It's not just
I don't-
because he was a great Green Bay quarterback. Like you can tell that he learned
Yeah.
from Aaron Rodgers because the
Yeah.
mechanics. Like
No, I really don't want to seem like a Jordan Love hater because trust me, I'm not. It's just it's just too small of a sample size for me to say he's better than some of these guys.
no, but it's been a
No.
full season now. He's won in the wild card. He's in the divisional round now. With
No,
the
he's
youngest team in the
I
NFL.
have no
think at
doubt
this
in my
point-
mind. I have no doubt in my mind he will be one of the faces of the league. But
Yeah.
he,
But I think at
just
this
haven't seen
point,
enough.
I feel like. But if you don't have a doubt of that, I feel like at this point, it's not too small of a sample size. It's
Because-
been a full
because
season.
what
plus
I
happened-
agree
a
with you. I
playoff
agree.
win in Dallas.
No, it's an argument. I need to see the season end, and then I'll have more of a like. If they go and that he plays a good game and they lose, maybe that changes my opinion. I haven't seen him play a full season yet, and with Stroud, I just feel like it's so much more clear. Because
I agree. No, I agree.
like-
I agree with you. Also, well, look at the team Stroud went into. I mean,
Yeah.
he was playing against all odds. Rookie head coach. Jordan Love has been on the Packers.
But again,
I agree.
this is no
Yeah.
disrespect to Jordan Love because I feel like most of the names I'll probably say the other person just because I've seen more and I know what I'm getting out of them. Jordan Love,
But I
it's
feel like you
not
know what you're getting out of Jordan
don't
Love
know,
too
yeah,
at this
I think-
point.
Listen, I'm
this
sold.
point-
I'm sold, but it's just too short of a time period. So
I mean,
Okay,
maybe
so
it's the
Dylan.
same-
Here,
But then
let's just-
what's
let's
the
go to
difference between
next
that
one.
and Stroud though? Then what's the
Yeah.
difference between him and Stroud?
the difference is that because I think Stroud has played as a top 5 quarterback in the league. I don't think Love has done that yet.
You
I
said
think
Stroud.
Love has
Love was
very,
Love was arguably the best quarterback in the league
Yeah,
you
but
said
the-
it in last show.
Yeah, I did. But that you can't discredit the first 10 weeks of the season where he was average. So it's just.
But I
he's
feel
on
like
a great-
this is now
he-
like what
he-
8
he's on a
9
tear.
game sample
He's on a
size?
tear. Listen. He's on a tear. I haven't seen it consistently enough. I
Well,
really.
you have seen it consistently, just like not like
You can't argue against my time frame argument. It's like you can have your own time frame. I have mine. I fully believe that he will become one of the best. I just don't think he's quite that yet.
Dylan, I'm gonna need to take your bias out of this, and this is gonna be
You
one
know
for
what
the
I'm gonna.
future.
You know what I'm
know,
gonna.
I
For
know
the
what
future. For the
Tua.
future.
Him or Tua.
Tua.
no.
Tua. But it's close. But it's close.
That's just bias there, but
It's
okay.
not. How is that bias and Dak not? Like I don't get.
because
I think at this point I don't know how you can say Dak just
Yeah.
because of what.
Right
he
now,
literally just did against Dak.
but I removed my bias. I told you my answer. I think Tua is the better quarterback right now, but who knows how the future will go. I think Tua will. I mean,
I think it's just. I mean, after what Love did in Dallas,
he's great. He's phenomenal.
But then how with what Tua did at Arrowhead, and Love went into Arrowhead, not into Arrowhead, but he played the Chiefs, that same Chiefs defense, and beat them.
He's gone into multiple hostile. It's such a different game, though. That was negative 27 degrees. Come on. I
mean, it was cold. Okay, fair enough. But
yeah, it's just completely different. But
I agree. I agree with Clint. I agree with Clint Vincent and Thomas Scott. I feel like that's objectively
listen. I can agree with your disagreement. Not agree. I can understand your disagreement, but it's the same argument for me that it has been for everyone else. I just haven't seen enough.
But it's just
purely based on time.
I think you're
just purely based on time.
But how much more?
I need to see.
I need to see the time. I feel like it's been enough.
Yeah, I do too.
I feel like
I don't understand.
I need to see the season.
Let's move on. Let's keep going. Purdy.
I'll take Love.
I'll take Love. Herbert.
I'll take Herbert.
I think respect-wise, take Herbert. Trevor Lawrence.
Definitely Love. 100% Love.
Easy.
Really?
Yeah.
Let's respect Lawrence. But yes, I will take.
He was playing injured. I think he's getting a bit too much hate now.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
I will this stretch of Love is better than anything
Kyler Murray
produced his career.
I'll take Love.
That is sneaky close, but I will give it to Love.
I think it is sneaky close. People underrate. Murray is a good quarterback, but
he is. He has it.
Bryce Young.
Love.
What?
Love.
Serge, let's not do what. He was playing on an awful team. Bryce Young had his moments. He was not very good, but the Panthers
but a guy
were
with potential
terrible.
Compared to Love, who just went into AT&T Stadium.
Wait, what? But then again, we set the parameter. Is it for the future or for right now?
Yeah, that's true. Well, I guess we said both
now,
too. We said future. Yeah. Right now it's Love. I agree, but I think
right now and the future is Love, but especially right now.
I was expecting you to say Love. I was expecting you to say Love. Trace Mc. All right, never mind. I'm trying to. What are some fields we would all take Love?
And the other guys like Goff, I would take probably Love, but it's close.
Yeah, I would take Love. Stafford.
I think
that's a good one.
I think Stafford's a better quarterback right now.
I would take Stafford, but that's close.
Yeah.
I would take Love. I don't know. Yeah. What a weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, still more games tomorrow. I believe we will be going live tomorrow after those games, assuming.
Do we want to run through keys to what we think are going to decide those games?
Tomorrow, yeah. Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
It's Bills games first, right?
We'll start with the Bills game. And it is still snowy. It is still going to be stormy. It is still going to be a rugged football game.
Basically, delaying it did nothing.
No, it made the road. It made it so that people
could get to
safely go to the game without getting into accidents. So
although Dylan would love them too.
What's up?
Dylan, you would love for some Bill. All right, no, that's not what I meant.
That's crazy.
That's not. I meant that figuratively, not literally.
I actually didn't catch what you said until you started to say it again. And I was like, wait, oh, goddamn.
Yeah.
Safe travels, but
yeah.
I think that the key to this game, for each team, I think this is a good format. Just both teams, the key to winning the game. For the Bills, you keep the game outside of the sticks. You make sure that you are so confident in stopping the interior running game that you have to force either Rudolph to make a throw or them to run an outside zone run. That way you are confident that you will win the game using your offense. For the Steelers, the way you win this game is don't overcomplicate it. If the Bills go and do that, don't try to make the George Pickens master play in the snow. Trust that your sledgehammers can make the plays inside the lines and pretty much just make it the most gritty football game of all time to both teams. Play it to your strengths and see who has the most strength because there's no other way of doing it.
Yeah, I think the Steelers, obviously the headline is them losing TJ Watt. But I've said this multiple times. I still think their edge rushing talent is still good. I think they've got a lot of depth there. Highsmith, Golden, Herbig, who I think is really been showing up recently. I think them getting both of their safeties back is a huge deal. Getting back Minka and getting back KZ is going to be huge for them against Buffalo, especially against when they have a quarterback like Josh Allen who can go off for like 400 yards any given Sunday. I think it's gonna be closer than a lot of people expect. I know the Bills are 9-point favorites. I think the Steelers will cover that. I think Buffalo will win, but I think it's gonna be a one-score game. I think it's gonna be like I said, it's gonna be an ugly game. I think it'll be similar to what we saw a few weeks back, a week ago with Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. I think that obviously turnovers are going to have to be forced. And I think Josh Allen's always due for one. And I think if the Steelers can play a clean game, and like you said, they're going to be running the ball a lot. I feel like they might be able to win the turnover battle. I think anything's possible. I think they've got a solid offensive line, not a great one, but they've got a capable one that's capable of playing in these conditions. They've got probably one of the best running back duos in the league with Jalen Warren and Najee Harris. I think Pickens and Deontay Johnson, although it'll be very difficult to throw the ball, and I don't anticipate them doing it a lot, I still think that at any point they are capable of taking the ball to the house. I think at any point, any point on the field. I think it's possible. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Next
Thank
game
you, man.
is in
Have a
San
good
Fran.
night. Yeah. I will say, I think the Steelers have, for the injuries they have and their quarterback play, the conditions are still set up very well for them. I think, Dylan, like you said, I think this will be a close game score-wise. I'm not sure if it will be by the eye test. But again, I would not be very shocked if the Steelers found a way. I would not be shocked, but I think the Bills will handedly win this game. But I think with every one of these games, we saw what the Packers did. I don't think the Steelers have the capabilities to do that, but we saw that it can happen.
I'm pretty much just looking for a sledgehammer versus a sledgehammer here because there's no other way of playing this for either team. If you're the Bills and you trust,
I think the Bills can throw. I think they can throw the ball.
The snow is and the wind. It's just too difficult. It's looking like the Colts versus Bills game from 2017 now.
Tom Scott.
And especially if you're the Bills and you've had your turnover problems, whether that be fumbling or interceptions, you have to be able to trust that you're gonna. At least you trust your defense to be able to stop an offense that hasn't been prolific enough. So you both teams, I don't think there's a choice but to play into that.
Yeah, Bucks Eagles. I don't know what to tell you. This one is very very tough.
Jalen Hurts will be playing tomorrow.
Are so clearly better on paper, and I say that even though AJ Brown is out, but coaching has been a huge issue. I think just a lot of mental mistakes, and their weaknesses are big weaknesses that we didn't anticipate. The front four, the defensive line, I think is still very good. The rest is just a huge problem. Their linebackers can't cover. Their cornerbacks can't cover. Their safeties can't. I mean, Reed Blankenship, I guess, is fine, but that is a huge weakness, and every team has been gashing their defense recently. And not to mention that they have probably one of the worst defensive coordinators in the league, Matt Patricia, which is whose idea was it to hire?
Yeah, what was the thought process there?
Not to mention, I think doesn't Darius Slay hate him or something also?
Yes. Very, very
Darius Slay.
Darius Slay and Patricia.
He talked about how he when he left the Lions to go to the Eagles, he talked a bunch of shit about Patricia.
Very outwardly, yeah.
So it never made sense to me, and they've clearly been bad. I don't think Desai has done a good job either, but I think going to Patricia, I never saw the logic with that at all. And the offense, and I still think
I hate Sirianni so much. I hate him
Sirianni.
So much.
Everyone hates Sirianni.
Dylan last podcast was like, "What does he do?"
I
What
think
does
even
no? Please tell me what he does, please.
Eagles cheerleader. He's the mascot.
He's the hype man that bothers everyone. Like it's
But the
not.
problem is-
He's not
but
even
now
a good
even-
hype man. He's
but
like
now-
so smug with it. He's like, yeah, I thought that you were gonna make the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, shut up.
It went
Like,
it
do
went
something.
it went all downhill for the Eagles.
then Mike
since he was,
McDaniel
like
just
trolling
faded.
Chiefs fans.
Yeah,
He was
no,
like,
Mike McDaniel's just like, yeah, I mean, things didn't go our way, but like, imagine if they did. and then Sirianni in his last press conference, I mean, I told you guys, he literally said, well, what happened at the start of the season? You guys aren't talking about that now. Like, just do your
because
job.
that's not relevant now.
Like, do your job.
All right, quickly before he gets off,
Ooh, love it.
I have to sit on these games, the playoff games. I have to sit on, but right now I'm going Packers. Right now I'm gonna stick with my Packers.
I would say Niners just because I think they're a more complete team and they're like ready to contend now. I think the Packers are still
in some ways, you guys have to admit having a bye can. I know this might sound very stupid. Having a bye can be a negative.
No, I agree.
thing.
To a certain extent, it can make you a little bit rusty. We saw that in 2019 with the Ravens when they got bounced by the Titans. But I still think the Niners are just like. I think the Niners are just like a team that.
Again, this is not my pick.
I think they have one of the best.
They
have. I think the difference with them is that they have a play caller that I think is much better than Mike McCarthy. They have a skill position group that's much better than the Cowboys, and they have a defense that's much better than the Cowboys. I think they have probably one of the only teams in the NFC that actually has a really good defense that's in the playoffs. So I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah.
I still think Jordan Love's actually gonna have a good game, but I just don't think he's gonna have the game that he had against the Cowboys. I don't think their receivers are gonna be streaking wide open like they were against Dallas because Dan Quinn just cost himself a coaching job. I don't think Steve Wilkes is gonna do the same.
The entire coaching staff.
Give me San Francisco.
Yeah. I think it's just a matchup made in hell for Green Bay, and I love what Green Bay's done. They've no pun intended, but they've built it into a really solid franchise that's going to be here to compete for the next 10 years.
What was the pun?
Love.
I love
what they. But
that's good. That's good. Put that on a shirt.
No, I will not be doing that. But Green Bay versus San Francisco over the years, whether it be with a Saleh defense or a D'Amico Ryans defense, and now Steve Wilkes defense, which I think is pretty much just disguising the same stuff. It just hasn't worked well for LaFleur in the past. And I don't like judging based on the way the teams have played in the past, but I think the mirror of scheme is just way too similar to be able to just brush it to the side. And also San Francisco have the best offense in the league. So I just think it's not to say Green Bay won't compete. I think it'll be a close game, but I just think it's too good to be true for them to go into Santa Clara and win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know on purpose. I don't know. I have to send it, and then tomorrow I don't know. I'm talking about tomorrow when we do our divisional pod. Then I'll appreciate that.
You, Clint.
Appreciate you. Yeah.
Have a good one, Clint.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
I'll have to sit on it. I guess I'm just on a very big high right now because of that Packers game, and I think I can call myself a Packers fan because I live in Wisconsin for a good amount of the year.
Serge, are you a Lions fan? Am I a Patriots fan?
I mean, I would be.
No.
I'm not very happy for the Lions if they.
I'm not a Packers fan, but I have a sweet spot for them.
Okay, I do not for
That's
the Patriots personally. So
Dylan, yeah,
I would say I do for the Lions. I mean, honestly, I've like
from New Zealand.
Oh,
awesome.
Wow.
Okay, well, I can
awesome.
say objectively that I've also had a soft spot for the Lions even before I've been here because I have family that lives in Michigan. So sit on one.
But anyway, I don't think we got to our key. I don't think we got to our keys.
First of all, can you guys just give me a round of applause for picking the Packers?
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
Ole.
I'll give it to
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Can I get like a one hand applause for hedging it, just like that?
All right.
Yeah. Okay. But I don't think we got into our keys for the Eagles versus Bucks game.
Oh, right, yeah.
For the Eagles, the key to this game is to just outscore just score a lot of points on offense.
Now that's one of the best
Really?
takes I've ever heard Dylan say.
Okay,
That's
okay.
one of,
Please, that was way too narrow. Let me.
that's a
expand.
Charlie
They
take.
need
No
to
offense,
score
Charlie.
points.
No,
to
that
win.
was
a
such
Charlie take.
That was
Because
such a
Charlie, the
Charlie.
funniest thing is I was looking back at her Packers picks, and Charlie goes, "Dylan, you're gonna hate me for saying this, but the Cowboys are just a better team." And I was like,
wait,
"Well,
what?
fucking all right."
But anyway, what I meant was you're gonna need to be airmailing. You're gonna need to score points fast in this game. You can't trust your defense in situations where you can't. There are gonna be times where you can't punt the ball because you can't trust your defense to win this game. Because you just have the defense has been the worst team in the league. The worst defense in the league for the past 5 to 6 weeks. You have to trust that either your offense is going to go out there and make plays, or the Bucks are just that bad that it won't matter that you fail on fourth down conversion. So be bold on offense. That's what I would say. Be bold on offense.
I think the key. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And then for just for the Bucks, it's contain Jalen Hurts inside the pocket and make him go to his first and second read, because if you do that, you're taking away all of the spontaneity of the game. And I think honestly, if you take away the game breaking ability that Hurts has and that the Eagles offense has, I think the Bucks are better aligned to win the game.
I think the key for the Eagles specifically, I think with AJ being out, I think it's clear. Run the ball. I
disagree with that actually. I disagree with that.
With the Eagles, for me,
Devontae's playing.
They have always had. I think something that they really failed to exploit is how good they are in the trenches, and they've been that way for the past few years. And I know, and the Bucks, they don't have a bad. They have
what I was about to say. They have, I think, a top 10 run stopping defense.
They have I know they have. I like Vita Vea, I like Elijah Cansey, but I think the Eagles could still. I think the Eagles line is that good. I think they could still. They could still dominate it.
Do you think?
They
play trench warfare, or do you think that they use some outside zone?
I say you go trench warfare. Honestly,
I don't think that's a viable way to win this game.
I think
because
then
you're
you have arguably the best center of all time in Kelsey.
Yeah.
You have a good guard in Landon Dickerson. You have two good tackles in obviously Mailata and Lane Johnson. Yeah. I don't see the problem with doing that. I just don't think
trust those guys. You can trust them a lot of the time, but if you're playing trench warfare against the Bucks, you have to concede defeat on a lot of downs because it's not going to work every time. And now
I'm not saying run the ball every time, but I'm saying should be the plan I say you run to open up the pass, and that has not been the strategy for the Eagles for the last years. And I think that's a better way of putting it. I think that's going to make Jalen Hurts a lot more composed in the pocket than he has been the past few weeks.
Okay. Yeah, run to open up the pass is a good way of putting it. Yeah.
I think also controlling time of possession, especially when how porous your defense has been, is huge. And at the end of the day, I think the Eagles, the mentality is just I think the mentality has to be kind of just control time of possession, keep your defense off the field, because I feel like it'd be hard for this Eagles team to win a shootout without AJ. But when you get AJ Brown back, if he's back, if the Eagles win, I think he would be back for the divisional round. I think then all bets are off the table, because then you've got the full healthy offense that I think on paper can really match up with any team in the league.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Keys?
I think for the Eagles, I'd agree it's running the ball. But I also think that
it's getting late. It's getting late.
I think it's running the ball. I still think Utah's in that pass game. I think obviously for Jalen Hurts playing out of structure is going to be a big deal, because I think that obviously being able to extend plays is ultimately in these playoff games what wins your team games, or obviously what helps you win those games. I think for the Bucks, I think it's going to the air. It's an aging Eagles secondary. It's not a very good Eagles secondary, opposing to the amount of talent they have, amount of like big names they have. Obviously, Mike Evans is going to be a key. Chris Godwin is going to be key. You have a healthy receiving core. I like. Why am I completely blanking on the running back's name? Zaire White
or Rashad
or
White.
Rashad White. Obviously, I know he gets a lot of volume. I still think he's been he's a pretty versatile back, catching wise and rushing wise. I think for Baker, it's doing what Baker does good, and it's time of possession, being able to drag out their drives, keep the ball out of the Eagles' hands. I think that's what's going to win the Bucs this game. It's in Tampa, which is also huge. I think this is a very 50-50 game. And it's still very hard for me to say the Bucs are a good team because Baker Mayfield is at the helm. But besides Baker, and not to discredit Baker, but it's still a very good team. I mean, it still has a lot of the players that they had in that Super Bowl roster. It's a really good front seven. It's a secondary that definitely is not very good. I think that's something that they will be addressing in the draft. And it's a receiving core that has all their guys. So I think for Baker, it's stretching out those possessions is what will win them this game. And yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, just shy of 2 hours here at the Back Pocket. Almost 1 a.m. Eastern time. I don't even think we went this late for our draft live streams. Kian McDermott, Suraj Kadali, and Dylan Shalom. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching, for tuning in. Thank you for commenting. Viewer of the stream goes to Thomas Scott. We appreciate you. We will be going live tomorrow, Thomas, if you want to drop in there. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. Our divisional picks we will record the day after tomorrow. And yeah, as always, thank you. Oh, thank you all for 2,000 subscribers. Incredible. Completely forgot about that. That was, I mean, obviously dream come true for all of us. We're still haven't really processed it. It is so many people. So thank you all for every single one of you who has subscribed to the channel. Yeah, man. It's a great day to be a member of the Back Pocket Podcast. I can tell you that much. So thank you all so much for all the support. I always drag these outros out so long because I pause in my brain and I don't remember what I'm saying. But yes, that'll be it. We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the wild card weekend tomorrow. And